Some farmers are calling for a total ban on plastics in the country. It follows government's decision to ban light plastics, which many have expressed displeasure about. And once the restrictions reversed, the ban affects the manufacture and sale of light plastics used for packaging locally produced foods like porridge, granules, gari, among others. And manufacturers of the product have 90 days to clear their stock. Well, some 2,000 tertiary graduates will be deployed to enforce the ban. So, is it possible to rid off all plastics across the country? And how will even the partial ban be achieved? This is today's big story. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Ahead of the implementation on November 1, sellers who rely on light plastics for their daily business are levied, anticipating huge business losses.
The ban will really disturb us because some people prefer the leaf and others prefer the plastic. So they can't ban it just like that.
With the rubber bags, people don't really know how to recycle and stuff. They throw it anyway, so it's making the gutters and everything choke and stuff, causing natural disasters and other stuff. But with the paper bags, when it gets to water, sometimes you can't so soft, then maybe disperse away then. Or sometimes you leave it on the floor. It can't so easily to burn out.
Those who feel the pinch the most are the manufacturers and the sellers. What do they make of this?
I don't think it's going to help because it's creation of job. And as you ban it, how am I going to get my daily bread? The producer too is also going to lose. So I don't think it's going to help.
It's very difficult because looking at things, if I have to serve my stew, you have to pour it in this rubber because you can't put this in a leaf or any other thing which can soak the oil. So eventually they can't carry it away, which will store some of them or end up maybe, let's say, you can't take it very far. Yeah.
And so are you making any provisions for them? I mean,
yes, it's either some, we just have to find a new way. Most of them would consume it here or bring their own bowls from the house which can be served if they have to take it far. Because looking at things, we don't have any other subsidiary products which can take all the stuffs.
So with porridge sellers or cocoa sellers, as we want to call them in our local settings, are we going to see the era where we use calabash?
The calabash is good. It's old, olden time. It's calabash we use. But this time, rubber. And the rubber too is making the place dirty. So if they go back to calabash, that's good.
And so if your customer comes and would like to take the porridge away, then how would you package it?
I don't know, unless they bring their own cup or flask.
If they do not bring their own cups and flasks, how would you...
And drink it. They will sit here and take it.
The person wants to take it away, how would you package it for him or her?
No, he cannot take calabash away. So if you like, you will sit here and take the cocoa and then go away.
Manufacturers also want more time for this ban.
When you go to that deeper talk, we make a proposition to government.
Okay.
Government said, okay, you know what? From hence, that is in 2012. From hence, every raw material you import to Ghana will have an additional a tax of 10%. We have been paying this. We have they amended the Act 565 to Act 863. And that act has it very clear, stated black and white, that every plastic product you are importing to Ghana, it should attract 10%.
So we have that tax.
And that tax has been accruing. I tell you, I brought the tax, but for the purposes of live television, I can't show it to you. I would have gone to pick it for you. That is stated black and white, that use this for this, use this for that.
Do you know how much we have made so far from that tax as manufacturers?
I wouldn't want to exaggerate, but I can tell you that it has accrued over 100 million Ghana cedi.
And have they told you how this has been used? Have you asked them about this?
We have, of course, we did. When we asked
how has it been used?
The minister said that, you know, it is true. On paper, you have this money there. but it has entered into the consolidated fund, and that fund is like an ocean. When rain falls into it, you cannot go and pick the rain back. The money is there. The Minister of Finance will say, I've been paying environmental service providers A, B, and C this amount of money, and they are supposed to take care of our waste. Yet, what do we see?
Are you saying the money has been misappropriated?
I wouldn't say so. I would not say so. Not for any reason. But the fact remains same, that the money is in the consolidated fund, and the Minister of Environment says, I can't go and take the money. Okay. But I know, let me just conclude here. I know that the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development have made some petitions to the Attorney General to fast track the release of the money for the purposes at which it was generated. Okay.
We're wrapping up on this. Now I want to find out if you support the restriction. It is not by a ban, he said.
Yes.
Do you support this restriction as manufacturers?
We support the restriction on the basis that indeed those lower microns are difficult for recycling. That is fair. We agree. We are willing to produce our polythenes, and I want to use your television station to tell the general public that continue to patronize your Hausa cocoa in the polythene. It is healthy. It is healthy. From 1st November, we want to engage the ministry further that we can open up the restriction to, let's say, ending of the year, where our stocks, producers will have so many months of stock. They have done the production issue, run out before we start the biodegradable additives. So we want to engage them that they should continue. Just give us additional 2 months. Let's wrap up the entire year so that 1st of January our production will be fully biodegraded and from 20 microns and above. And Ghana will be a cleaner state for all of us.
That sounds nice to me. That sounds nice to me. And I'm sure it sounds nice to
Daniel Tonyega speaking earlier on the Pulse. But guess what? There's massive support for the action from some farmers, and even want the ban to cover all plastic products. We'll hear from their representative shortly. But first, here's Environment Minister Mahama Ayariga explaining the need for the ban.
On the type of plastics that should be produced, one, that the plastics must be 20 microns and above. The micron is the thickness, the density of the plastic material. When the microns are so low, it makes the plastic so light, and recycling companies cannot easily recycle the material. And even managing it, picking it, you see it floating all over the place because the wind is able to blow it everywhere in the place. So when I met with the stakeholders, they said that if we increase the microns and place a lower limit below which nobody should go, it will make recycling easier, because we're looking at recycling as one of the options for the management of plastics. So this is to address the problem of recycling companies. We want to recruit 2,000 enforcement officers. The 2,000 enforcement officers divided by 26 million will be 1 to 12,000 persons. That is still quite a large number, but let's start from there. And so they will also be distributed to the districts per capita. So depending on the population of districts, you will recruit the corresponding number of enforcement officers who will be given extensive training on the environmental regulations, the standards, and everything, so that they will then be empowered to enforce the standards. So if there are supposed to be 1,000 waste bins in this district, they have to ensure that if you combine the effort of the district assembly and the effort of the homeowners in the district and shop owners in the district and corporate entities in the district, if you count, you will get that 1,000 waste bins.
And what will be the criteria for selecting these 2,000 persons?
We will go through public advertisements, they will apply, and then the regional EPA officers, I've already given the directives to the EPA, so the EPA is working on it. The regional EPA officers will be responsible for the recruitment, but we'll make sure that we recruit mostly polytechnic students, graduates, who especially have qualifications in the areas of the sciences, because that's how we can easily teach them environmental science and everything. We may admit some SS graduates, depending on if they're able to pass certain aptitude tests and etc. But I'm giving them timelines. Within 3 months, I expect to see that all these 2,000 enforcement officers, and I've had discussions with colleagues at the Ministry of Youth and Labor, Minister for Labor Relations, Manpower and Labor Relations, Employment and Labor Relations, and then also National Youth Employment. We hope that at the initial stages they will absorb the remuneration of these 2,000 people. But going forward, we intend to pay them from the levies and penalties that they are able to impose on people who are breaching environmental standards. If you are conversant with the polluter pays principle, we want to really activate the polluter pays principle so that if you pollute the environment, you pay for your pollution.
Well, joining me in the studio now is Philip Abayori. He is Executive Director of the Agric Management Services of Ghana. Hello, Philip. Good evening.
Fine evening.
You're welcome to today's big story. Now, you are calling for a total ban on plastics, in the country. What are your concerns?
There is a lot of difficulties that farmers and fishermen are going through so far as plastic waste is concerned. It's creating a lot of problems to our farms because it doesn't decompose, and scientists will tell you to take 100 years when it falls anyway, to take about 100 years for it to be able to at least degrade. So when crops are planted, the crops will not grow. It affects livestock. When the livestock picked it and when they eat it, it becomes a problem. Then it goes into the rivers. It lays under the riverbed. It affects fish. It gives high mortality to fish, and it also creates a lot of imbalance in the ecosystem. Then in the sea too, it creates a lot of problems. Some of the fishes which will come and spawn along the beach, when the plastics are there taking over the main environment that they live in. So the fishes don't even spawn at all. Some have to move elsewhere and etc. And it creates a very high hazard to the fish and marine life, fish and then livestock, and also to the environment. And consistently we had advocated and said, look, why do you have a plastic bag which doesn't have a label at all? Who manufactured that plastic bag? That you cannot be held accountable to collect them back. Okay? Right. So if you need to put in plastic bag, there should be some particular type of plastic bag that can be reusable. And then in any case of any pollution, we can hold somebody accountable that, look, your plastic bags are dotted here, your name is on it. But if you look at the plastic bags, nobody's name is on it.
But the Plastic Manufacturers Association are asking for more time for this ban. You think it's too much to ask for?
You see, why do they need more time? What they need to do is that they are producing biodegradable material for our neighboring countries, which we are aware.
Are they not producing
and there, there when you go, you could see they have clean environment. You could see their livestock systems are growing. You could see their marine life is doing well. Why should we then manufacture what is not, we know definitely will destroy our ecosystem, and we are putting it here? We know they are running a business, but they are a minority. You have 60% of the population of Ghana into agriculture. So then if you have about 5% or 1% of people, I know they are employing people, but they must upgrade their systems to ensure that they don't damage the environment, which will feed us, and for prosperity, which will feed us and also protect our livelihood. So definitely, we know there is cost to it, but they need to give us what is healthy. Even if you eat in plastic bags, you know what it is. The scientists will tell us the doctor it's not healthy.
Okay, so
you need food quality plastic bags to use for cocoa. You need food quality plastic bags to use for anything that you want to eat. But what are we eating? We are using any plastic bag. To our own health, it is bad. And then to the environment too, it is not good to our marine life and etc. So it's an issue.
For the consumption of the cocoa seller or the wache seller out there, let's break it down. If you're talking about biodegradable, what are we talking about?
We're talking about a kind of material that at least when you put it down, it can decompose within a shortest period. Okay, so many materials are there that are not environmental harmful to fish. They are not harmful to human health. They are not harmful to the land, and they are not harmful to animals. And that's what we are looking for, we're talking about.
There are those who feel that this plastic thing cannot be totally rid of in this country. Now, you are also calling for that. How should we go about this?
We weren't having, when did we start getting plastic bags in this country? It's within the 80s.
Right.
Okay, if you go back in history, we were using paper bags, and also people using, what they call basket and etc. You go and shop, you go back, you use that same basket for a year or two.
Right.
Okay, but we went into for these plastic bags, and look at the amount of pollution. Even in the city, the drains are choked. Every drain you pass, and even anywhere you pass, there are plastic bags.
Right.
You get, and this is, you have a lot of mosquitoes, dwelling in these plastic bags. So we think that, you see, we have a Ghana Standard Board. There may be some particular material that are needed, to be used for plastic bag. Then the grade of that particular plastic bag should be in a way that it can be recycled and be reusable. There should be labels. You see, when you are banning something, there should be labels on them that, look, Kojo Mensah manufactured this plastic bag, and in any case, if we realize that there's so much pollution going with that particular bag, it may be some particular industry that needs that plastic bag that can be used, that there can be no alternative. You get the point?
Right.
But if you look at the plastic bags that we are having, some of them are not even needed. They are, they're just, the black plastic bag and that kind of stuff that you find around. You know, so I really think that we need to make a deliberate effort to say, look, enough is enough. We cannot continue to pollute our country. We cannot continue to pollute our rivers. We cannot continue to create health hazards for ourselves.
But why are we blaming the manufacturers? Why don't we blame the waste management companies who are not collecting the garbage?
We need to blame generally ourselves. We have standards. As a country, we have to have standards. We have standards there. Right. That look, these are standards of plastic bags that are biodegradable or reusable or recyclable. So in that case, we wouldn't have reached this particular point. Okay. You don't need to create a lot of waste for the waste management companies to go and pick. Where are you going to put those plastic bags?
Exactly.
Do they? There should have been even an alternative to incinerate them if they are going to be incinerated, to be reused for any other, to be reused for, for different purposes. But these alternative, plans are not being put in place, and we started using plastic bags. There are no, what do you call it, recyclable, recycling plants which can recycle distance. So we are gulf of a problem which must be solved. Right. So we need to ensure that, look, if we want to look at the quantum of taxes of whatever that the plastic bag companies pay, and relate that to agriculture, what cocoa brings or whatever brings. Okay. Then you are trying to use them to destroy the same livelihoods of the majority of the people. Right. So we need to really look at it in a very dispassionate way. Not that somebody is trying to spoil somebody's business, but the reality is a reality. We all know that plastic bags have become a menace. Other countries like Rwanda, they ban plastic bags. You go there, the place is clean. They are using biodegradable material. Exactly. And that is what we need in this country.
Well, there are people who are unhappy for the ban because they feel that it's going to be causing discomfort to them because we're so used to these plastics. But in Uganda, these plastics have been banned. How are people coping, and how is it helping the country keep it clean? So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be hearing from someone from Uganda to tell us what is going on in Uganda, how people are coping with the ban on plastics. We'll be back shortly. This is today's big story. We're still trying to reach Jojo Kobna from Uganda to tell us more about how the country is managing the ban on plastics. But we'll get him on when we get on the phone lines. We're having a bit of technical challenges, but we're back in the studio with Philippa Barry. Maybe government needs to embark on some awareness program or campaign to, make everybody understand, but because it looks like it's a genuine cause, but people don't really understand why, because they've come to terms with the plastics and they're so used to it. You don't think so?
You see, this is not a new thing. Everybody knows what the plastics are doing to us in our environment. So we are saying that they are not helping us.
I don't think the cocoa seller on the street knows that it's harmful to use the black polythene to sell.
The cocoa seller is producing for clients, right? And this is harmful to her clients. Okay. So definitely there should be alternative. Previously, we were drinking cocoa at sports. Okay. Now we need to move and drink cocoa. I'll give you an example. Coffee. When you go to a coffee shops, you want to take cappuccino. It's made in a paper cup. Right. Is that right? Yes. Or you want to take coffee in one of the coffee shops. I was just traveling to Volta. I bought a coffee. It's in a paper pack. It's a paper pack, yeah. But so we can use paper packs for cocoa. Okay. Okay. So the other option we have is paper. Why are we opting for paper? It's biodegradable. Okay. Okay. And the same thing. So many things can be used. Okay. Apart from paper, what else can? There can be some other materials that are biodegradable. And I'll give you an example. McDonald's, for instance, if you see the bowl, the rat bowl, it's starch. The bowl is not a synthetic You know that where you, I mean, any bowl that you see that white, you think it's plastic, you could eat it because it's made out of cassava.
Okay.
Okay, so we're looking at biodegradable, I mean, material that will be used so that at least we protect the environment and also be able to enhance our marine life, our livestock, and our own livelihood to guarantee our own lifespan. Because as much as you are taking this material, I mean, drinking, etc., from what is not a food grade container,
okay,
you know definitely you're going to have health hazards. You're going to be sick, and the doctors will not know what is wrong with you because you have taken a lot of toxic material into your system.
So how do you intend to push this agenda of getting government to ban all plastics? Because now it's talking about restriction on some plastics, but you are calling for a ban on all plastics. How do you intend to achieve this?
We will continue to advocate, and then the reality has come to show us. You saw the recent floods.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the cause? I mean, you have plastic choking the gutters.
Exactly.
So it's a reality which has come.
Okay.
So there is a suggestion that, look, let's ban some of them which we can find available that are creating this problem. It's a first step.
Okay.
But it has to move beyond that.
Okay.
That even if plastics will be used, we need to know who manufactured that plastic.
Right.
You take a plastic bag, you know, there's no label in it.
Okay.
Okay. Because I know in some shops, some of the supermarkets, when you enter there, you know this plastic bag is coming from them. So at a particular point, if the Minister of Environment or the Metropolitan Assembly realize that there's so much of this, they can go back to them and say, look, we've seen a lot of your plastics here. But this plastic bag, if you see somewhere who manufactured, you don't even know.
Right.
So we need to also create a system through some bylaws or regulations that allows you to put your name.
Okay.
So that if there are issues, we can hold you responsible.
Okay.
We need to also come out of what they call it, code of ethics or regulations of the use. Even we, the people who are using it, how to use and dispose it.
Okay.
That if you found that you are throwing a plastic in a gutter, it's a crime. It's a crime. You know, we need to do that so that at least we can keep our environment clean. We can guarantee our farmers of a very good, ecosystem, and our fishers and our livestock producers and our own livelihood.
Many thanks to you, Philip Abayori.
Thank you very much.
Very grateful for your time on today's big story. Jojo Kobna is on the line from Uganda, but we'll only take him after this break. Welcome back on today's big story. Jojo Kobna is on the line. Hello, Jojo. Hello, Jojo. Welcome to today's big story. I think the line dropped again. We're having a bit of challenges, technically. That is where we wrap up today's big story. We've been talking about the ban on light plastics, and which people are unhappy because they're so used to it. But even farmers are calling for a complete ban on the plastic. How do they intend to achieve that? We leave that for the farmers and government. We'll be back shortly with Joy News Interactive.